Welcome to a quick video on working with the Maxwell Client for the first time. The best place to start setting up Maxwell is online, so if you're just starting to set things up, you should look at the previous video first. This video is describing the Maxwell Client. You can always find the latest version of the Maxwell Client available for download if you log into Maxwell Online. In the left column, under About Maxwell are download links for Windows or Mac. Download the Maxwell Client for your operating system. After installation, the first launch will bring up the sign-in dialog. You can enter in your same username and password you used for Maxwell Online. This is the local client app that sits on your computer, maybe on the press floor, to allow you to drive your measurement instruments directly. It gives you instant feedback on your test charts and control strips, and it uploads the measurements into Maxwell. The left-hand column shows any tracks you have installed, any local devices like spectrophotometers, measuring instruments that are plugged in, temperature sensors, and printers that are attached to this computer. A first step is to set up one of these printers as a report printer, just in case you want to print a hard copy of a report down the line someday. Choose the printer and then go through any basic setup functions that show up. You'll see a little page report icon on the side here if you're successful. Now you're ready to add tracks to this station. The user interface convention is the same as in Maxwell Online. You would click the plus button in the bottom left corner and choose Add Maxwell Tracks. You'll have access to all the printers and tracks that you've created in Maxwell. Choose the track you want to add and click OK. There is also a little bit of setup for the track the first time you use it. You can streamline your use in the future if you set your default instrument here, and set your default target if you have one that you will use most of the time. So you're all ready to click Measure. The ISIS and the P2P targets show up here because I set these in the defaults in the last step. You can always change them to something else if you want. If you have a target you want to use that's not in the built-in list, you have several options. You can click Open and browse to where the target definition reference is located. Or if you're going to be using this new target a lot, then you'd want to add it to this drop-down list. You would choose Open Target Folder and click and drag the target reference into the folder for the instrument you're going to use. We also have a target import tool that looks in the operating system for the locations where some of the more common software packages store their target definition references. So the tool allows you to move these target files into the folders for your instrument. Notice that some files won't import if they can't be used by that instrument. The ISIS has special requirements, so these zip files containing Barbieri references won't work with an ISIS. But notice also that you can import some files from manufacturers that are different from the instruments you're using. An ISIS file can be used with an i1 Pro or a Konica Minolta FD9 or a Teshcon SpectraDens. This is a terrific feature. We interpret all of these target references and then we make them available to any instrument that can use them. Naturally, there are limitations with certain instruments with the ISIS, like we mentioned. The LFP will not do auto positioning if you're using a target that doesn't have the Barbieri auto positioning information. But the LFP will do manual positioning with any of these targets, so this is good to keep in mind. The import tool is something we're still working on, but we include it in case it can be helpful to you. The measurement window will automatically connect with your instrument once it's plugged in. Follow the screen prompts if it asks you to calibrate or measure your target. We have other videos that cover the specifics of measuring with each instrument. So if you have a question about working with a certain instrument, I'll include a link to this playlist in the notes for this video. When you're done measuring, the results are shown here. You get to see whether you passed or failed. You have a summary of your metrics, the tolerances for each metric, the actual value calculated for each metric, and which metric passed or failed. The Details button opens up a multi-tab report with a lot of diagnostic graphs to give those who are measuring an instant look at what might be going wrong. Of key interest here, I'll point out the patch list, where you can look at the delta E column and see how far off from the mark is each patch. To see a view of how each ink is behaving, check out the Target View tab. This shows you where the problems are across the sheet in case you have a mechanical problem, like a gripper problem or a blanket worn on one side. If you have a problem with one color, like the magenta here, more dark red errors, that can give you an important clue as to what's happening with individual inks. Some of the elements of these graphs can be changed in the Track Details pane of Maxwell Online. In the meantime, your measurement is winging its way to our Maxwell servers online, and you get the status of the upload here. Some upper-level users are able to click on the MX link or the blue links at the bottom to take them directly to these measurements in Maxwell for further analysis and trending. A final time-saving function is to go to Advanced Set Defaults. Here you can define what instrument, target, and report you would want to default to when adding new tracks. Most people will be using the same instrument and often the same targets with each new track, so setting this once makes adding tracks a little bit easier. Thanks for watching.